flip-flops are hot. Flip-flop go.
Hello and welcome to the TRYGESIS Thursday newsletter for February 27th, 2025. And actually today, as I'm doing this, it's the 26th of February. It's about 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. And I'm a little behind schedule because tomorrow, or today rather, later today, I'm going to be leaving Arizona back to Ohio, and I'm going to leave this beautiful weather here. It's been sunny and warm every day, the 80s, absolutely perfect weather. And you can see from the photographs that I posted that we took that on a hike. I took it when we were hiking in Tonto National Forest, not far from the Phoenix area, and lots of cactuses, cacti, and so I really enjoyed that hike, and I recommend Arizona in the winter to anyone. Of course, it hasn't rained in about a year and a half, literally, so that's a minor drawback, but there's no snow and there's not too much rain, so if you don't like snow and you don't like rain, well then the desert's the place to be. Okay, so today we're going to cover two different things rather. Swift has 3 videos about songwriting tips using G, C, and D. It's a standard, pretty common chord progression, but you can do a lot with it. He talks about unique song intros. He gives a lot of great examples. And lastly, he talks about lyric writing, some good tips on lyric writing. So check those out. And then I'm going to finish up with another video, maybe the last one in this whole series on getting motivated to write songs, how to motivate yourself. And this one is sort of state of mind, how to control your state of mind so you can write that great song. I mean, if you're not happy, it's very difficult to write. And if you're not happy, you need to figure out, if you're not happy, it's because one of your needs are not being met. And you need to identify that need and meet that need so that you're happy. So we're going to talk about states of mind. And I think that's all for now. Oh, this painting right here behind me, that was done by John Burkhart, local artist. Did a nice job and it looks great in our kitchen. And so that's it. Take it away, Swift.
A friend of mine asked how there could possibly be any more new songs written since there's only so many chords. Well, there's a lot of different rhythms, beats, melodies, counterplay, timing, genres, instrumentation. So you take a really common overused pattern like D, C, and G. Sounds really good. A lot of songs have it. It's the 1 is the D, a flattened 7th or a raised 6th C, and the 4th is the G. Then you've got Can't You See, I think ends up on the 1. And then you got Steppenwolf's Rock Maiden, which is basically Sweet Home Alabama. The bridge of the song Badge. Led Zeppelin's Thank You. Which is also Knocking on Heaven's Door. Or the complete ripoff without the interesting chorus, Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. Bachman Turner Overdrive got 2 in a row. They are in different keys, but they can be transposed to this. Taking Care of Business. And You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. And next time we can get to how that is actually the reverse direction of 12-bar blues, which is usually out of E, A, and B, or A, D, and E, for example. But you can countrify it or folkify it by putting it from G, C, D, or C, F, G, D, G, A, F, B flat, C, which those are the 1, 4, and 5 when you go that direction in the key of G. But it's the same 3 chords in reverse. Anyway, that's next time. Stay tuned. Good night. I love dedicated intros to rock songs. They can be complicated, they can be simple, they can appear as bookends, meaning at the beginning and the end of the song. But generally they have nothing to do with the vocal part of the song or the melody, the chorus, nothing. Not a continuing riff. I think the best one, my favorite, would be Josie by Steely Dan. Just a great piece of music on its own. Also, Pete Townshend's Pinball Wizard, great guitar piece at the beginning. Sets the whole tone of the song. John Lennon didn't even need to play anything. He had feedback at the beginning of I Feel Fine, instantly identifies the song. On the other hand, John Lennon did play. They had 3 different chords playing at once. The banging, crashing chord on A Hard Day's Night. Let's see, Stones did a traditional kind of rock thing with Brown Sugar. Works great. It's keyboard, but Light My Fire's intro, outro, it's brilliant. Can't beat that. Jeff Beck with the Yardbirds did Heart Full of Soul, killer riff on that, scorching. White Room uses the same chords as the Cream song, vocal, but totally different treatment in the intro and outro. Led Zeppelin started with drums, When the Levee Breaks, and rock and roll. One of my other favorites is Klaus Vormann's bass intro to Carly Simon's You're So Vain. What a deal. That guy had connections, huh? Anyway, it can be complicated, it can be simple, but it gives an identity to your song, instantly recognizable, hopefully. And I've got simple ones like, I have one for A Well-Rested Man. Nothing to it, but it identifies the song right away. Got a more complicated one called Haley Daily. It's just kind of fun, and then you're off on a ride. Love A minor. Anyway, intros, outros, give your song an identity. Come up with something. It's fun. When I was about 15, I stumbled across a useful technique for writing lyrics. I always liked writing parody songs, putting funny words to existing hits that were out in the 60s and 70s. Then one day I wrote a set of lyrics that turned out to be actually very good. And I realized that by following the template of 8 days a week, I'd ended up with a set of words that were the right meter, cadence, had the tight phrasing, the right length, number of syllables. And it occurred to me, okay, you got parameters. You know it's going to fit whatever music you write, especially if it's in 4/4 time. So, and it has no resemblance to whatever John Lennon's original would be. I just had to write new music for it. At least it gave me a set of lyrics with a storyline, and that half of the work was done. So, it sounded nothing like the original. It's all just math at that point, where you get the right lengths and timings and so on. So you got the pop format with the beginning, middle, and end built in. You know when to quit. That's a hard thing if you're just writing a song sitting around in a jam room. When do you stop? When is it done? Well, pick something simple like that, especially 60s and 70s songs. Creedence Clearwater, the Beach Boys, the Byrds, Tom Petty, Dylan. They provide you a real good jumping off point. A lot of Beatles, early Beatles especially. Try mixing up your rhyme scheme too. Sometimes the 1 and 3 lines rhyme, and then the 2 and the 4 may or may not. The 1 and the 2 could rhyme with each other, and then the 3 and the 4. Just try everything, mix it up. I'll sometimes do the 1, 3, 2, 4 in one verse and the 1-2 and then the 3-4 in another verse, just to mix it up. And if you just write with these songs, pretty soon you'll have enough. You won't even remember what your original inspiration was or the template. So it's going to be totally original. I suppose, I know I wasn't good enough to sound like the originals, so I came up with something unique. And as I got better, it found its own identity. And play your songs live. Putting it to the fire test shows you immediately what's wrong with a song. But anyway, try writing new lyrics to your favorite songs. And even more importantly, some you hate, because you never would have explored those alleyways otherwise. The end.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about state of mind. And in order to write a song, it really helps to be in a good state of mind. You can write about something negative, something sad, something tragic, but I think you still have to have that state of mind in order to be present enough in the moment to be able to create that song. If you're distracted with whatever it is that's bothering you, then it's going to be a lot harder to write, at least in my experience. Now, we've talked over the last few weeks about the different things that motivate people, like the need to avoid pain, and the need to move towards pleasure. Those are the two driving forces behind all human behavior. And we talked about the 4 levels of human experience. The peak experiences are what we're all aiming for, that where it feels good, it's good for you, good for others, serves the greater good. But in order to have a peak experience, you want to do things that don't always feel good, but they're good for you, good for others, good for the greater good. And that's an example of doing your homework if you're a student. It doesn't always feel good, but if you want to learn the material and get the A, you've got to put in the work. If you want to get physically fit, you have to exercise. It can be painful, burns your muscles, stresses them. But if you're going to get fit, you have to go through that pain. So you look ahead and say, oh yeah, well, the payoff is greater than the pain I'm experiencing. The problem is when you sort of can't get your mindset wrapped around that, and you say, well, I'd rather eat, a box of Godiva chocolates than exercise. Well, very pleasurable in the moment, but long term, it's probably going to kill you. So so you have to be aware of those, and when you start to be aware of those, moving away from the human experience of doesn't feel good, but it's good for you, then you start to understand the importance of doing things that are kind of healthy and good for you. And then we talked last week about the 6 human needs. So if you're happy, it's because some or all your needs are being met. If you're unhappy, well, then something's not being met, some need. And you have to identify them. We talked about those needs, which was, the need for security, but the need for a little excitement in your life, uncertainty, certainty, the need to be an individual, but you also need to be part of a group, but you don't want to be part of a cult because you lose your individuality, but you don't want to be such an individual that you lose touch with your group because you can't relate to anybody. And of course, then there's all living things are either growing or dying. That's the 2 states, and you want to try to keep growing. And finally, the thing that's going to make you happier than anything is contribution. When you contribute to the well-being of others, that is kind of the top of the pyramid where you're going to feel great. And on the other hand, if you're selfish, you're always a taker, never a giver, well, you're probably, 1, you're not going to have a lot of close friends, and 2, you're probably not going to be very happy because you're always taking. You got to be a giver. And don't expect anything in return. Donate anonymously. That'll make you feel good. So you don't need to have your name on a big building, the new hospital wing that you donated to, Just have it be enough that you donated your money to that, to build a hospital wing. So anyway, so now we're going to talk about the states of mind. Yeah. So how do we start here? So if your needs aren't being met, your state of mind is going to be wrong. So you want to get into that proper state of mind by making sure, identifying those needs. Once you've identified them and fixed them, now you control your state. But sometimes, you just feel out of sorts for whatever reason. You're not happy, but you can change it in an instant. And the easiest way to change it is to stand up and move. If you start dancing, put on some music and dance, or put a smile on your face. Psychologically, just putting yourself in the right frame of mind by using motion. That's the fastest way to change your state. Some people try to change your state with drugs and alcohol. Yeah, that makes you feel good, happy, you laugh, you don't feel any pain, but the downside is that once you come off of that influence, it can lead to a Great Depression, and you don't want to be down there. And you don't want to go too high with the drugs either. You don't want better off just be sort of even keel. As we discussed before, if you do things that feel good but they're not good for you, not good for others, don't serve the greater good, like drugs and alcohol, overeating, those are the things that are going to lead you to a bad state of mind. So you got to avoid those. And again, if your needs are all being met, you're going to be in a good state of mind. If you're unhappy, you've got to change your state by one, identifying your needs, or two, just get up and move around, take a walk, take a run, work out in the gym. Put a smile on your face. Go talk to somebody. Those can all change your state instantly. So you don't have to sit around in depression. You don't need to take, some people might need, I'm not a psychiatrist, but some people, they do take, I can't think of the name of the drug, Xanax maybe. I forget the other one that people take for depression. But, if you learn to control your own mind, there's a chance you don't need to take prescription drugs to change your state. You can take charge of your life, change your own state of mind, and be in control. So it's kind of my advice. Stay happy and keep writing. Talk to you next week.
Flip-flop girl, watching the ocean swirl. I like her a lot. Her flip-flops are hot. Flip-flop girl. I headed west to California. I needed the sun. I left my home in Salem, Ohio, searching for a special one. Those California girls are tanning every day. There's one that caught my eye, I could not look away. Flip-flop girl, watching the palm leaves twirl. She stands in the shade, wearing flip-flops of suede. Flip-flop girl. I stroll along the splintered boardwalk, hanging in the air. I hope to see the señorita whose footwear made me stare. If I see her again, I'll try to ask her name. The way she looked at me, I think she felt the same. Flip-flop girl, letting her towel unfurl. She lays in the sand, her feet zebra striped tan. Flip-flop girl. I just wanna meet her. Her feet will soon reveal if she's the right one. When I see her walking, if her flip-flops do the talking, she's my true love. I just want to feel spraying sand around.